What's going on, Breaking Brown fam? What is going on? Please take a moment. You're going to need them today. Please take a moment to get your libations and everything you need, because you may need some things today. Ain't that the same? You got to check to make sure you put your shirt on. But anyway, please like. If you can't do anything else, please like the show. I would appreciate it. Just hit that like button. That really helps the algorithm and everything else. So if you in this chat right now, please hit that for me. Please share the show. Please hit that bell so that you get notifications when the Breaking Brown family decides to come in and have a conversation. I would appreciate it. Those things right there cost you no money, and I appreciate it. You can go to subscribetobrown.com and add yourself to my mailing list. Once again, another thing that costs you no money that I appreciate. If you have something to donate, you can go to donatebrown.com. You can go to patreon.com/ycarnell as well. Family, we're going to have to get into it. And you know, I have to get into it. Like I said, get your libations, because I have to get into it, because a lot is going on. A lot of stuff is moving really fast, and a lot of people are expecting us to be really stupid and fall for the same kind of okie doke we fell for last time. And when I say last time, I'm going to get into exactly what I meant, or what I mean by last time. We're going to break it down, and we're going to bring it all the way in. I like to frame things. I like to make connections. I like to show patterns. I like to show what patterns connect, and how we can, life, you know, to a large extent, life is math. And so we have to have a conversation about things that connect versus things that don't connect. So one of the things that I really want to do as we start off this show, I want to talk to you about a post I put up on Facebook today. Now, this was the post that I put up on my Facebook. If you don't follow me on Facebook, you can do that. My Facebook is public. I put this image up of Barack Obama, and I want to connect that to Kamala Harris. We're going to connect these things together. One of the things that I put up when I tried to have this conversation about Obama, one of the things that I tried to say, or one of the things that I tried to impart to everybody who was listening, I tried to say, Obama ran a con on us, and that should be clear now. If you look at that clip is from C-SPAN. He doesn't even use the same vernacular, the same cadence. His voice is different. He was trying to talk Negro, and that's what he was doing then, but his voice was different. It's not the same voice as it is now, right? That's one thing. But the second thing is, if you watch that clip, Obama, he evokes Selma, Alabama. And he says he has a right to claim Selma. You all know about Selma. You all know what happened on that bridge. And if you don't, I'm not going to tell you. Look it up. He said he had a right to claim that bridge because his mama, who was white, and he said had a family who owned slaves, and his father, who was Kenyan, benefited. And they found something real in this crazy world, and they benefited from what we did, and he laid claim. That's not how you lay claim. You don't lay claim based on what you benefited. You lay claim on what you and your lineage and your people contributed. If you don't understand anything else I say, understand that you do not lay claim based on a benefit. You lay claim based on a contribution. What has been your contribution? Absolutely nothing. What has been your people's contribution in terms of American descendants of slaves to make you have a claim on that bridge at Selma and to everything that happened on that bridge? Absolutely nothing. But understand one thing, family. We didn't call him on it. We didn't call him on it. But when we talk about that we didn't call him on it, we have to understand that we don't understand what a claim is. Because under Obama's definition of a claim, then every white person, even white people who had something to do with Selma and who were part of the infliction of pain upon us, like his mama, who he said in that video, he said her family had owned slaves, then they could claim Selma too. Then everybody claims everything and we have no specific justice claim. That is what happens when you let Obama do what he did. When you let him lay a claim that he didn't deserve, something happens. Our claim gets diminished when you let him lay a claim that he doesn't deserve. He was laying a claim based off a benefit. You cannot lay a claim based off a benefit. You lay a claim based on a contribution. And Obama did not have the lineage to have it. What did Reggie from Boston say? He did not have the blood equity to lay that claim. But we didn't know no better. We didn't think about it. And I was, for a while, I was right there with everybody. But before we get to that, I want to say that somebody else is trying to lay a claim. Somebody else is trying to make an unearned claim. We got Kamala Harris to announce presidential run near MLK Day. See, we got somebody else trying to run a claim that they don't deserve. And they think that same stuff that worked over there is going to work over here. Well, Obama didn't have a claim. I'm going to go out here and have a claim too. Well, there's something very, 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 though. There's something very specific. Now, Obama wasn't, the first time I voted for Obama, because there was something very, very specific that we're going to get to about Obama that made everybody decide that we was going to vote for Obama, that we was going to be in there for Obama. Right? Obama had Michelle. And we're going to talk about it. Michelle from Chicago. We're going to have a conversation about it. But before I have the conversation about Michelle, and before I have a conversation about what Barack Obama had in terms of Michelle that what Kamala doesn't have, I want to revisit what I said. Because I don't take many bows. I don't say I'm right much, but I don't do that a lot. I don't say I was right about X, Y, Z. I don't hold nobody's faith because I've been wrong too. I was wrong to vote for him in the first place. I was wrong to vote for Obama in the first place. And I said this. I said, but in 2010, I caught on. I voted for Obama, and then I caught on. Oh my God, I've made a tremendous mistake. This man is not, I didn't have DOS as a term. I said he's not African American. Right? And let's revisit what I said, and we're going to bring it all the way back to what Kamala Harris is in terms of what she is and what she ain't. We're going to bring it all the way back to Kamala Harris trying to pull an Obama scam, being a Canadian Indian lady and trying to pull a scam to run for office. But let me just take you back there and show you how what I said back there fits right here. Now, here we go. I said, in classic Obama style, he's adorned the costume which we've come to associate with all rebellious agitators. Unlike some who've compared his speaking style to MLK, I see more of Malcolm than Martin in Obama's metal performance. Short, decisive, snappy comments, which linger with the listener by virtue of their verbosity and in-your-face intellectualism. This was Malcolm's marker. In 21st century America, Obama is Malcolm's emulator, but not his heir apparent. Okay, let's keep it moving. Even if President Obama's Kenyan father had been in his life, even if Obama's Kenyan father had been in his life, that wouldn't have been enough to link Obama to an African-American experience, which is uniquely different from that of Africans in the great vastness of the diaspora. This is 2010, I'm saying this. And to say that Obama is connected to the African-American experience by virtue of his Kenyan father is alarmingly simplistic. Okay? 2010, let's go to the next quote really quick. Our experience was that Obama would display some of the steeliness so overtly recognizable in the African American persona. But President Obama's perspective is international, not African American. It is time that the African American community stops looking for its reflection in President Obama. He may be the first black president, but he's certainly not the first African American president. Now understand, I am speaking to you as a person who said this to you in 2010. So I want to lay the framework to let you know. I want to lay the framework to let you know something. This is not about me picking a fight with Kamala Harris. This is about what I said. This is not about me picking a fight with anybody. This is about, I saw it in him and I see it in her. So let's go on. Let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation about it. Let's have a conversation about it. Obama had no claim. He basically lied and tried to and stole a claim in terms of Selma. But the thing that got him in there, or the thing that people paid attention to, was Michelle. Because understand, when we voted for Obama, and let's be honest with ourselves, let's try to be honest and shame the devil. We have to be honest with ourselves. We have to be very honest with ourselves about why we voted for Barack Obama. We have to be very honest with ourselves about what that meant and why we decided to do it. Now I want you to understand something. Look at these pictures. Michelle Obama is the thing that crossed me over the finish line in 2008 for the 2008 and crossed you too. We did not, I want to see you when I say this. I'll put the images back up. But we did not, hear me when I say this. Hear me when I say this. We did not vote for a black Obama president. We did not vote for a black man. We did not vote for a black candidate. We voted for a black family. Please hear me when I say that we voted for a black family. We did not vote for one. We did not vote for a black president. We voted for a black family, and the validation was that black wife. Because even though he didn't have everything, even though we had questions about him initially, we understood that the vote was bigger than him. And we understood and we trusted Michelle. We understood that Michelle had invested in him. Michelle was from Chicago, had 2 American DOS parents, and they done had babies together. Like it's not like he just married her, he's going to divorce her tomorrow. They got little babies together. So we figure like this man has to be somehow invested in the African American experience. Michelle was his validation. And his decision to have a family with Michelle was also his validation. We voted for them through the lens of the Huxtables and the Cosby Show. But what we find with Kamala Harris, who wants to run for office, she wants to announce her candidacy on MLK Day. What we find is that she has none of that. Where is this validation? Now, the validation wasn't right because we realized we didn't get nothing. We realized Obama was playing a game, but you don't have any validation, Kamala. I'm trying to figure out where this validation is. There is no one there to, and I want to ask, listen, let's be honest. Can we be honest and shame the devil for a little while during this show? Let's be honest. I want to ask how many, let me just talk to my black women subscribers, my sisters out there. I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a very direct question. Would you have voted for Obama if he had a white wife? Now, don't you lie to me. You better tell the truth. Because I was talking to you and I was talking to myself. And I know I wouldn't have. Now, you tell the truth. Would you have? Now, here's the problem. If we voted for a black family with Obama, Then why does Kamala Harris, why does she get to hide? Every time we see her, she's by herself. She gets to hide and not be a black family when that's the one thing we voted for Obama for. I'm just trying to figure it out. How does she not to get to be held by that standard? How does she not have to have that kind of validation? Well, then you're going to tell me, well, Yvette, well, it's not just about that. I don't even know. I don't even know if these people, when I look at them and when I compare them, when I look at them everywhere else I see pictures, it's kind of odd because, even at y'all's wedding, y'all look more like business partners than like the thing that we voted for in the Obamas. That's what y'all look like. I'm not trying to be mean. It don't look like this. But that's what we voted for. That right there. That's what we voted for. And that's not what I see in terms of what I look at right now. So here is where I am. Before you say something about, well, we've gotten beyond just voting for people. It's that's not just you just try to be against interracial marriage, Yvette. You're just trying. No, I'm not. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. It's so much bigger than that. Because Kamala Harris is trying to claim MLK Day or MLK and claim American DOS when, hold on, you have no connection. You have no connection to the bottom caste in this country, which come from slaves, right? Those are our descendants, slaves and slave masters. That's who we come. You have no connection to any of that. You have connection to a Jamaican father, and an Indian mother. And it's worse than that. This thing right here, Kamala Harris says, and this is in the Times of India. Kamala Harris says, inspired by her superhero Indian American mother. Now understand, if you go out through the web, ladies and gentlemen, because I spent a lot of time researching today. If you go throughout the web, you can't even find nothing. You can't even find nothing about her Jamaican daddy. Just like Obama's Kenyan father just got dismissed. What is the purpose of all these black men y'all want to pull in, even though they're not American DOS, who are invisible and get erased anyway? These are invisible people. They get erased. And understand, when we talk about voting for Obama, everybody was voting for black love and the potential of black love. It wasn't just about them being a candidate. It was about the potential for black family and black love and all of that. That's not this. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. These two things are not the same. So we look at that. Now understand that that's just part of it. Understand that when we look at this is not the whole thing. This is just part of the picture. This is all part of the picture, ladies and gentlemen. There are lots of parts of this picture, though, and we're going to get to all of them. We're going to get to every little aspect of it. Because we have to. Why not? Why not? Now, you have to understand something else. You have to understand, as I slow this down a little bit, you have to understand the lens through which these people understand themselves, understand life, understand America. Now, you see in this quote, when I say Obama understood life through the lens of his white mother. That's how he talked. That's how he understood. And we came to understand that later. Michelle was his validation, and that's what gave us a cue. But we came to understand that later. But here is what Kamala Harris says in her book. It was really my mother who took charge of our upbringing. She was the most responsible for shaping us into the women we would become. She's talking about her and her sister. And she was extraordinary, Harris writes in her books, The Truth We Hold, An American Journey. This is a person who sees life through the lens of her mother. Now understand also she has two professional parents. Kamala Harris was born on October 20, 1964 in Oakland, California to a Tamil Indian mother and a Jamaican father. Her mother, Shyamala Gopalan Harris, was a breast cancer scientist who immigrated to the U.S. from Madras in 1960. Her father, Donald Harris, is a Stanford University economics professor who immigrated, and this from Wikipedia, from Jamaica in 1961. Now, before I go on, I want to say one thing. Understand, and my immigrant allies and non-allies can call in. I want to ask you a question too. When you go home or when you're here, do your people call themselves African American or Jamaican? Do they just not make a distinction between the two? What does everybody call themselves? I want to know. Now let's go. I want to go to another clip so we can further understand who these people are, who we can understand who the parents are. We're talking about Kamala Harris. Her name, Kamala, comes from the Sanskrit word for the lotus flower. Her family lived in Berkeley, California, where both her parents attended graduate school. She was extremely close to her maternal grandfather, P.V. Gopalan, an Indian diplomat. As a child, she frequently visited her extended family in Bisat Nagar neighborhood of whatever, Tamil. Okay. Harris grew up going to both Black Baptist Church and the Hindu temple. She has a younger sister, Maya. They were both in the choir. Now, before you tell me, now look, I want you to know these people, this person had two professional parents. Two professionals. I'm not talking about just even professional like white collar. I'm talking about Stanford professor, a mother who's trying to find a cure to cancer. Now, before you tell me, well, Yvette, we had that too. We got the same thing. This is your life. That is not your life. See, the data lets us know what our life really looks like. This is your life. This is our lives. This is American DOS life. So I know, since I had the data now, that what Kamala Harris has in terms of being a member of a top caste back in India, but trying to claim a bottom class that's a slave class caste she doesn't come from. I know who she is. I know who we are. I know what she comes from, and I know we ain't the same. Then nobody got to tell me nothing. Nobody has to tell me anything about anything. Understand that. And nobody has to tell you either. We're not crazy. Understand something else. When her parents got divorced at the age of 7, right? When her parents got divorced, and I'm trying to find a clip so I can put it up, but it's on Wikipedia. When they got divorced, something very interesting happened. Kamala's mother moved to Canada. So from 7 to 18, these are formative years. From 7 to 18, she was basically a Canadian. She grew up living a Canadian life. I don't know how else to say that. What I'm seeing as I look at this woman, she is an Indian, Canadian, Jamaican. And I don't even think she's Jamaican because I can't read nothing about your daddy. I don't even see nothing about your relationship to your daddy. You don't really, what is it about the importance in his life? And your aunt said in a different interview that everything you are comes from your mother. And you said basically the same thing in your own book. So I don't even know that you even get to claim Jamaican, even though Jamaican ain't American DOS. I don't understand. This is not African American. I don't understand what this is. What is this? Like, if somebody tell me what I'm looking at as I try to find this, I don't understand what this is. And understand something. I want you to understand something. This is a person it's not just about what inspired her or whatever. Like, understand something. Kamala Harris did all of that, and then like there's this very interesting article in the Times of Israel, and this is the article: 5 Jewish things to know about likely U.S. presidential candidate Kamala Harris. And one of the things that strikes you, because a lot of people say, well, Yvette, when she was up until 7 years old, she was about that business. And you just don't know. She was in there. She was working it out in Oakland and doing American DOS stuff. Well, she lived I've heard people say she was in a very activist community. She was in a very activist community when she was in Oakland. Well, wait a minute. Hold on a second. First of all, ain't enough data and information for you to make that case to me. I ain't had nobody come to me and say that. But when I look at what the Times of Israel says about what she was doing and what she was saying, so having grown up in the Bay Area, I fondly remember those Jewish National Fund boxes that we would use to collect donations to plant trees. Let me tell you something. Understand that this is during a time, understand that Kamala Harris, chat, how old is Kamala Harris? How old is she? I want to know, how old is Kamala Harris? Somebody, you can guess it. How old is Kamala? 54, somebody said. Understand that the time in which she's planting trees for Israel, all kind of stuff is still going on, but understand black life in America, what that looks like. This person is planting trees because understand the conservatism. That's why you see so many Indian Americans here, and they become like the governor Haley, what's her name? That worked for the Obama administration, because you're part of a top caste, and so conservatism is what runs through you. That is the norm. Understand that that's the norm of her early life too. That's what she was doing. She was doing that. She wasn't running around doing nothing for American DOS. She was planting little trees, and that's how she's lived her life. She met her Jewish husband Douglas Imhoff on a blind date in San Francisco, arranged by friends. They married in 2014. Now understand something as I go through this. I'm gonna come back to it. But she doesn't even have kids. Like the thing that made, we voted for a black family with Obama, right? And that was the investment in that family. She doesn't have that kind of investment with this person or with anybody. And they married in like 3-4 years ago. I'm not passing judgment. What I'm saying is this: if that's your life and that's who you marry and that's what you do, and you don't have no history of doing no American DOS stuff, you don't have no history of doing that. We're going to get to Howard University, but you don't have no history of civic engagement or advocating for us, or you went to Howard University and found your sweetheart or whatever the case may be. If you don't have no history of that, you just got to come to me as a Canadian Indian lady and say, I have policies that benefit you. Then we can talk. I'm not going to be, if you got to come to me as who you are. You can't lay claim to MLK though. You just got to lay claim to who you are and say, listen, I'm a Canadian Indian lady. And I don't really talk about my Jamaican father, or I'm a Canadian Indian Jamaican lady. Even if you want to claim the man, that you don't claim in none of the books. You don't really claim that man like that when you talk about him. I went fishing through the web today and I couldn't find you talking about how good he was. So you can't claim him now. Y'all can't be doing that. But you gotta come to me if that's who you are. You have to come to me with a set of policies. As a candidate that you are, hey, listen, I got some good stuff that I think is going to be good for the American DOS community. I have some good policies. You don't get to stand on MLK Day, though. You just get to stand on your policies. Stop trying to use these identity politics to make me believe that you something you ain't. So, because when we go back to what you really are, this is what we see. This is not American DOS. Understand that. Understand who she is. You have to understand who she is and who she is not in order to move this ahead. I don't know what we exactly think we're doing. I don't know what exactly we think we're doing in terms of Kamala Harris, but we ain't doing it. We ain't doing it. And let me tell you something. So, because some people are going to say this. Well, Yvette, even though she lived in Canada from 7 to 18 and she was passing out little Israel boxes in Oakland or wherever she was, she went to Howard University just like you. Y'all have the same alma mater. We went for two different reasons. Kamala Harris went to Howard University to wash all of that Canadian Hindu stuff off of her and make herself black. That's why she went to Howard. That's why she pledged AKA. Because she majored in political science and so did I. Let me tell you something about a Howard University political science major. All of us think we're going to run for office someday. All of us when we got there. You think I was thinking that and Kamala wasn't? Yeah, she was. She realized that she wanted a future in American politics, and she couldn't. There's no blood equity in like saying I'm Indian American and I have a flag. People be like, "What you talking about? What you mean?" But there is a civil rights movement here of American DOS that you can attach yourself to, and that's what people are here to attach themselves to. Why can't you claim what you is though? You always went back to visit your granddaddy who was a diplomat in the family and all the other family and all that stuff. I don't see nothing about you visiting Jamaica. You wouldn't do well. Claim who you are. Don't come here and try to claim something else. And don't come to Howard University trying to wash yourself clean. Because let me tell you something. Howard University or Pledge and AKA, those are all expressions of American DOS history and culture. But expressions of American descendant of slave history and culture don't make you American DOS, Kamala. What you did, the same thing Obama did by going to a black church, those are expressions of our culture. They do not make you us and they cannot cloak you in us, Kamala. You're going to have to figure your own way through. Maybe, just maybe, you won't use identity. You'll use policies, but you can't really do that because you were California's top cop. So it's hard for you to do that. So you're going to try to come out of all the stuff you did in California. You making prisoners firefight and go out and fight fires. And you had something else in terms of you wanted to separate. You don't have now when we talk about immigration, you don't want to separate families, but you were coming up with truancy laws that were going to be very bad for American DOS people who were there. We're gonna get tough on people who kids miss school and all that stuff. So you gotta run on that. You gotta run on that. I saw when I looked in the chat when they said somebody said people call themselves Nigerian, Jamaican, Haitian, Sioux, Stanley, Unequa. Yeah. Nobody says, well, I'm African American back in the homeland country. And nobody should say that. We're all different. It's only when everybody gets here, everybody's like, no, we all the same. And then go back home and be like, no, okay, I'm going to go to Jamaica right now and I want my stuff. I want my property. Don't play games. We all the same. I want my stuff. Where my stuff at? I want my bed, want my acre. I want all of that. You be like, no, you don't come here. And you be right to tell me that. But we're not. This is everybody's playing a game. This is my home. This is my homeland. This is where my lineage is. I can trace that jump back generations. There is no sameness here between me and every other group. Kamala Harris don't get to claim MLK Day. Now what I will tell you, or announce her candidacy. She's been very, 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 very clear. She's been very clear on who she is and what she stands for. I don't make any mistake, and I haven't been mistaken on who she is and what she stands for. She has always stood with and for immigrants. She's never stood with us. So why now, since you've never stood with us, why are we doing this? Why now Are you trying to act like, well, you all American DOS, and that's just what it is? Because you don't think we'll know, and I don't think we understand that these people don't think that we'll know, that we'll pick it up, and they don't realize really the only thing that really got us confused last time was that Obama had a real American DOS woman as his wife. We're not confused this time because we've lived through Obama. We're not gonna go through this stuff no more. Ain't nobody going through this stuff no more. We believe in stuff, and we believe that people. Now we research you. Now we know your history. Now we figure stuff out. Nobody's playing these games no more. And let me pull up one other thing while I'm in here, just to kind of show everybody what we're looking at. Because we have to kind of break it down, right? I think so. So this is what Kamala's aunt said, right? Understand this. Now read this how it's supposed to be read. She said, whatever Kamala is today, it is because of my sister. My sister inculcated South Indian culture and values in her. Dr. Sarala Gopalan, U.S. Senator-elect Kamala Harris's aunt, told Rediff.com's whatever. I don't care. She's saying, she didn't say everything. She didn't say Kamala Harris is a mix of Jamaican and Indian culture. Even with that, it wouldn't be American DOS. But she didn't say that. She said everything that Kamala is. Look at that quote. Everything that Kamala is a result of my sister, her Indian mother. That's not you. That's not your mama. That's not your auntie. Stop claiming everything with melanin. That's not you. That's not your lineage. That's not your history. She's not even her only link to like blackness is her Jamaican father, and there is no sign of anything I've read that she's grounded in Jamaicanness, that she's grounded in her Jamaican father in any kind of way. Just like Obama was never grounded. Just like Obama was never grounded in his Kenyan father. These are just people they throw away. I mean, what's the difference? Y'all remember this? When the Indian guy faked being black to go to school? What's the difference in what Kamala's doing? She's faking it to like get elected president. What's the difference? I mean, I'm here to listen. If you want to tell me. I'm here to listen. If you want to tell me what the difference is, I want to see it. But everybody's cloaking themselves in American DOSness as opposed to just telling me. I understand something. Like I said, if Kamala Harris, even if she had that history, but her whole life she'd been fighting for civil rights and she had been involved in, movements, or she'd been advocating policies on behalf of American DOS, I said, whatever. Hey, she's proven herself. It don't matter what she is. Don't matter what her identity is. She's proven herself by her work. That ain't Kamala. That's not California's top cop. So you got a Indian Canadian, a top cop of California who wants to announce her candidacy for president on MLK holiday. Understand that. Nothing connected with you. Mama was a scientist. Daddy was an economics professor at Stanford. Understand that even the mama picked a Jamaican professional. She didn't pick no like just a regular Jamaican guy or whatever. She picked a professional because that's the cast. And then when they divorced, she got the heck on it. It looks like she got the heck out of Dodge and she didn't deal with him no more like that. Right? Ain't that the same thing? Didn't Kamala do the same thing though? You didn't go to Howard looking for a spouse or nothing. You went and got this little banker guy and that's your man's now. But you want us to treat it all the same. I don't get what we're trying to do. You don't get cover from this. There is no cover. There is no cover for you. I don't know how you're trying to anchor yourself in this. It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, does any of this make any sense to anybody who's watching the show? If somebody can explain to me, I would love to hear it. As I get my notes together. Your granddaddy was a diplomat. Do you understand what that means? How many American DOS people have somebody in their family, an uncle or aunt who's a diplomat? That's upper caste, baby. And I'm not talking about a diplomat today. Like she's 54 or whatever somebody in the chat said, and her granddaddy was a diplomat. Honey, you are elite. You gotta understand how awful it is to be an elite person. To be an elite person from this country which has the untouchables, and come over here and claim a bottom caste that comes from slaves that you have no connection to. Hey, why don't you go over there and claim the untouchables? That's the bottom class where your people come from. Go claim them. Go do some good work over there. That's your peoples. A diplomat in India. He's a diplomat in India. He no diplomat here. A diplomat in India, where all these poor people are. He's a diplomat. And that's what you come from. Then you hopscotch your butt over here, right? Because your parents are both elite as well, because that's where you come from, and your daddy was a Stanford economics professor or something, and then you want to come from this top caste, creme de la creme family, and claim a bottom class that comes from American slaves that you have no connection to. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. And if nobody ever told you, I will. Nobody tells these people like who they are. And to go fix your own cast. And like, let me just say this before we get ready to go. I think I put these up, but I want to make sure I put all of these tweets up. I want to make sure that we look at all of these Kamala tweets before we do anything, because these are all like we're all immigrants and we all got to do this, and we all the same and all of this stuff. Now, what you have to begin to understand, there's something that I don't know. I don't know if we have begun to understand about Kamala or about this whole thing about what it means to like come from an immigrant or what, because we don't know, because we don't come from immigrants, right? So how will we know? But one of the things that we have to understand is, first of all, we don't, as American DOS, we don't come from immigrants. And I'm just gonna bring up an image real quick just to kind of like drive this home, so that we understand like who Kamala is versus who we are. And so we won't see any connection through melanin. And if you don't believe me, please go and watch that Kamala interview at the Breakfast Club. Right? If you don't believe anything I have to say, please go watch that and you'll see. She's very uncomfortable. But this is her like with her mom. Let me stretch it out to fit for you. There you go. That's not you with your mama. I don't care what you said. I don't care how you see it. This is Kamala, an Indian American Canadian woman with her mother, and that's a wonderful picture. But like, you don't get to claim American DOS. You don't get to claim that, because really what you're claiming is a deficiency in your own policy and in your own politics. You're not qualified to speak for us. You're certainly not qualified to carry the medal of MLK. That's not who you are. What's wrong with y'all? We just letting people, and understand, we just let people come in here and steal. That's really all it is. You're stealing legacy and lineage and all of that. And the question becomes, why are we letting people do it? Why are we letting people do it? Just run as an immigrant and a child of immigrants. And you know what you have to do? Let me say this. We haven't even talked about a natural born citizen versus a native born citizen. And there were so many racists involved in the Obama conversation that we really, and they were saying he got no birth certificate, he ain't one of us, that we really haven't looked at closely what the founders intended. And what we intend, forget them, what we intend in terms of who gets to steward this country. I believe citizenship should mean something. I believe lineage should mean something. And I believe having parents who were born citizens of this country should mean something. And I don't want to see anything that diminishes that, because what I have seen with Kamala Harris is that she is a progression of Obama. At least Obama tried to take our identity seriously and try to figure out. He left his white girlfriend and said, I can't do that. I got to figure out black people. I got to go to the black church. I got to try to have black friends. I got to figure this thing out. I can't just be with you. I can't be with you. I got to do it. Kamala said, I don't care. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I'm going to get these Negroes on my side. And they ain't going to have no policy for them. And I'm going to come from a mass incarceration background, because they don't know the difference. They won't know the difference. They can't pick it up. They slow. And that's where we are now. So what we going to do? You going to barbecue a meal, do Breaking Brown fam? But here's what I will say as we get ready to go to the break. Based on these tweets that I just put up, all these immigrant tweets, this has been, understand, you go through Kamala Harris's page, you go through her Twitter, you go through her website, you go through her Senate. What you see is that her claim to fame, has been immigration. I stand for the dreamers. I stand for undocumented. I stand for asylum. I stand for all of that. When she wants to run for president, that's what she's been saying this whole time. She wants to run for president on MLK, during MLK week, and associate herself with Martin Luther King Jr. But her claim to fame, since she's gotten in the Senate, her claim to fame in California was being top cop. But since she's gotten to the Senate, her claim to fame has been immigration. What I'm telling you is that you don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. What you do get to do, though, you get to do this. You get to go to the border and announce your candidacy there. You get to go to the border with the immigrants and the undocumented and the refugees and tell them you're going to stand for them and you're going to announce your candidacy there. You do not get to co-opt Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy, Miss Canadian, Indian, whatever. You do not get to do that. Especially when you have done nothing, Kamala Harris, in your life to consistently mount a sustained effort on behalf of American DOS. You are trying to stand up for a man. This man that you're trying to announce your candidacy during the week of, he took a bullet for American DOS. He took a bullet that ended his life. You have done nothing. You have done nothing to earn anything from us. And you cannot co-opt the legacy of MLK. What the best you can do is come to us with a set of policies and say, listen, I'm Canadian, Indian, and all this other stuff, and I ain't never really, me and my daddy ain't get along, or whatever your little story is that you hiding. And you can come to us with that, and you can tell us what your agenda is, and we can have a conversation. But you have no right. What did I say last show that we're going to have to start saying? By what right? By what right, Kamala, do you think you get to announce? By what right, Kamala, do you think, I see all these reports that you get to announce your presidential run at MLK Day? By what right? You have not mounted anything for us sustained. You do a little, well, we're going to have tampons in the prison. And women's prison is just what they is. You're just doing garbage. And you think we're not going, well, she is doing something for a little thing for the women's prisons so that they don't have, they don't have tampons. They don't have no tampons. No, Kamala, that's not it. Our oppression is across the board. It is systemic. And you don't know anything about it because you grew up Canadian and you came over here to go to Howard to wash yourself of all of that. And you knew you was running for office when you went there, just like I thought I was when I went there. You don't go to Howard and major in political science and not have that as an agenda. I don't know who you think you playing with, but it ain't me. So, fam, I'm going to go, y'all done got me all fired up. I'm going to go to a quick break, as usual, and come back, and we're going to have a conversation. We're going to have a conversation. I welcome everyone to call in and give their perspectives on, what you think's really going on. All right, fam? Give me like 3-4 minutes and we'll be back. going on, Breaking Brown family? We are back from the break. Quick thing. I got so carried away. I want to thank Bakara in the chat for reminding me. Book club. Book club is on March the 21st. That's a Thursday. 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the same time as the show. We will be discussing American slavery, American freedom by Edmund S. Morgan. Once again, that is March the 21st. March 21st, not February. March 21st, because I feel like this is a pretty heavy book. It's longer than the Denmark Vesey book. So that's a Thursday. I think we need to give people time to read that book. And also for those of you who didn't know, I'm gonna try to, gosh, I didn't put it up, but Louisville in February. I think that's the 6th. Louisville will be in February for having a conversation. So I will put that up sooner to the date, like in the next couple of shows. And I'm gonna put it up on my Instagram too. So if you are in the Louisville area in February, come around, check us out. Antonio is gonna be there too. And speaking of Antonio Moore, I think he's in the queue. So give me 1 second. Let me check it out. Let me figure it out. Let me go and see. 310. What's going on, 310?
Hey, what's up?
What's going on, Tom?
So, really appreciate you stepping out and jumping ahead of this. I hope that a lot of people can share this with their family, with their friends, because, I want to start this off before getting to Kamala about us as American DOS and what's going on. It took me some time to actually get to the point where I can actually have this kind of assessment for you guys. But I've always asked for solutions. But the solutions I have are a lot more nuanced than just like you starting a business or something like that. It's really you understanding why you've been conned. And one of the things I think that's happened for DOS, American DOS, is we don't speak our individual tragedies into truth. We don't speak our individual tragedies that come from slavery and Jim Crow into truth. So what do I mean? So, like, I've been trying to tell y'all that I don't know either grandpa. That my parents had me at 16, I don't know either grandpa. That's directly because of slavery and Jim Crow. It's directly tied to it. This woman here doesn't have any of that cause. The reason why I can tell y'all that is I saw it coming at UCLA. I've been seeing this coming, this locomotive coming. She has no right to be here in our space. She has a right to be in America, but she doesn't have a right to be in our space, in our claimed space that comes from the blood, sweat, equity of having the cost of American DOS immediately upon you. But you know why she's hearing that? Because none of y'all is telling her that you don't have your grandfathers either. Or whatever cost you got that comes from slavery, you don't tell that to the woman you just met on a date. You don't tell that to your mama or to your daddy or to work. You let everybody treat you like you came from white power and white wealth. Come on. So what I'm seeing is here, this woman before you was born 1 year after my mother. My mother didn't know her father. At least not well at all. This woman here had an Indian mama. My grandmother graduated from high school. That's it. She had an Indian mama that was a scientist. 1 year after my mama. My mama was raised in Brooksville, Mississippi, buried in Brooksville, Mississippi right now. This woman here was raised in Canada. Had an Indian mama that's a scientist and a daddy that's Jamaican that's an economist in the 60s. The awfulness for her to be a representation of us in our lives, I don't think you guys understand, because I carry the Bible of America, and she's trying to sit upon the cost of that and the empathy of that to advance her own career, which is empty. What do I mean? I'm going to talk to you in a second about what I mean by empty. Along the way, she hasn't accomplished nothing. She hasn't accomplished nothing as the San Francisco DA, really. She didn't accomplish nothing really as the Attorney General. She didn't really accomplish nothing as a senator. The only way she gets to the presidency is by saying, I'm just like Obama and civil rights, and we overcome, and America don't need to deal with black people. Because that's what she represents, that you don't have to deal with black people because they already got something. They already achieved because of her. But she's not American DOS. I am. But I can't become president because I don't know my grandfather, which would be her father's age. My grandfather wasn't an economist, and I didn't have all those advantages. We need to speak our truths because this isn't just about a past tense, slavery, and Jim Crow. This is about a current reality of why your life is so hard and why her life is so easy.
Ooh.
So let's get to it. Let's talk about it. For those people that are in boundaries, the border, states that are on the outside of America, you know Puerto Ricans and Jamaicans and Haitians a lot better than the people down south. Not saying y'all don't either, but let's tell y'all how it goes. For those people that have them intimately in their space. When we're at home, here in America, they do not call themselves African American. Anybody can call in after and refute this or support it. You welcome to have your own view. They say those Black Americans, a lot of critical evaluations of us. They say those African Americans, they either call themselves full-on Nigerian American or Haitian American, or they even go as far as just to say I'm Nigerian. That's it. I'm just Nigerian. I'm not even American. Understand the audacity to move from that to actually claiming African American because there's a scholarship for Black people that have been here, like myself, who don't know my grandfather, while your father went to Stanford and taught at Stanford. Come on. How we get here? Understand that I'm not guessing. We asked y'all, and in the chat, Unique was said, we just call ourselves Nigerian. Sue Sanchez said, we just call ourselves Jamaican. This is the chat earlier in the events. You can go back up. Baptiste said, we just call ourselves Haitian. People didn't even say American after the name. But then when it's time to apply for some shit, excuse my language, you African American. I told y'all this was created, this category, for Black Americans, for African Americans, the progeny of the lost slave, not for you. So this woman, who's really Indian, what she is Indian, Canadian, Jamaican, American, in that order. This woman, who was raised Indian, and through a backdoor of genetics can kind of say she's Jamaican, is able to use that to claim that she's African American. This is awful. This is awful for people like me who actually could represent y'all interests because you're giving your support to somebody who don't care about you. And I'm telling you, she don't care about you for her own policy of what she's saying. Look at my Twitch, look at my thread, look at Yvette's thread, and then look at her thread and ask yourself, who cares about you more? See, I love you. I don't know what she does. Understand, we can go all the way back to Willie Brown. Let's talk about it. There's claims, substantiated somewhat claims, that she dated a 67-year-old man that was married in a DOS marriage. That's how she got her first access into political campaign and everything else. Now, you can go research that, review that, but it sounds like she's a careerist. You go from Willie Brown to this white man, and this Jewish man. I don't have no problem with Jewish people, but at the end of the day, this is like a business relationship. Understand that you're dealing with a possible careerist here that constantly is just looking for ways to get something from something. We ain't got much to give, but we can get you in that doorway. Ask Obama. Ask Obama. And I think for a lot of us, we can't understand that we can't get to reparations if we allow this to stand.
Yeah.
Y'all ask what's the solution. Y'all gotta go fix the cuss with her. I mean, not just like you go quiet in the room when people bring her up. If your mama, if your auntie, if your friends bring her up, you need to get loud that she Indian. Not kind of Indian, she's Indian. And there's nothing wrong with Indian people, but she need to go and use them to try to get to the White House. I don't know a path for Indians to get to the White House without becoming Republican, which is her career kind of sets up for it. But she can't do this thing where she's going to be allowed, because she went to Howard for a few years, to all of a sudden become African American as Antonio, who has all this broken cost. Now, people out there are going to say, well, I come from Jamaica, or I come from Haiti, and I have broken family lines too. No, they created my cause. America did. They didn't create yours. There's a difference. America created mine that owes me debt. Yours was created by Haitians, by the French, or whoever was there. And I'm not discounting that, but it's not here on these lands. I'm just dealing with this. And the last thing we still didn't deal with is, because we don't understand citizenship, there's a whole question of her naturalization, of her right to run for presidency beyond the birth certificate. She's born here. But like the founding fathers wanted to see you as a natural born citizen, because what they wanted to see essentially was that your loyalty lied with America. You didn't have split loyalty. We as African Americans, Yvette covered this in a recent show, pretty much my whole loyalty with America, like if I were to run for president, hers, you don't know where it lies. Is it Canada? Is it Jamaica? Is it India? That's not what, we're not a global country. And I don't think we understand what doorway this opens. And that's what I'll leave on. I just hope that y'all can understand. This is the discussion that needs to happen. I commend Yvette Carnell for having this discussion. Shout out to Breaking Brown. But at the end of the day, this woman is not African American. She's something, but she ain't African American. Sorry.
Thanks, Tone, as always, for calling in, giving us your opinion. I appreciate it. And like you said, you needed Willie Brown to get in there. That's what I heard. But now you in there, and let me just say something else. You still would not be American DOS, but like if you were part of the Untouchables, like if your mother came from the Untouchables and had fought for Untouchables, and then came here and fought for American DOS, and so you continued the legacy of fighting for American DOS, like she had fought for the Untouchables, which is the bottom caste in India. If your mother had done that as an elite, or had been an untouchable and fought for that, and then come over here, and so that was ingrained in you. You knew what it was like to be a part of a bottom caste, and you had fought that fight here based on what you experienced there. That would be a totally different thing. But like, there is no difference between Kamala Harris and like an Asian, an elite Chinese person, or an elite Japanese person, or an elite Peruvian. Like she has no claim. And I don't know why people keep letting her move as if she has a claim that she doesn't have. It doesn't exist. So I'm going right now to 503. 503, I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, this is Quentin.
What's going on, Quentin?
I'm calling from, hey, how you doing?
Pretty good.
I'm calling from Oregon, and, oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for doing this excellent show. I had a question for you. It's kind of personal, but it also will help other ADOS people who may be in my position. And I've recently got involved with like my county's Democratic Party. They're progressive Democrats. And as you know, the state that I live in has a small ADOS population. But I remember you talking a lot about leftists and the issues they choose to focus on, and how we've become something they don't even, ADOS, they don't even want to talk about that. And I've kind of gotten a front view seat to that. And so I want to do like the full-throated advocacy for like reparations, the racial wealth gap, mass incarcerations, and the issues like eviction of poor, low-income Black women and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to get your opinion on how does a Black person who lives in a state with such a small Black voting bloc, if they want to run for public office, how should they navigate like the white leftists and white Democrats and progressives that live in their city or state? Like how would you do that?
I don't know if you can, in terms of running for office, like in terms of like being in a place that's mostly white leftists, because before leftists comes the word white, understand? So like, and that identity. What you can do though, is rabble rouse. What you can do is advocacy that puts people on the spot. And what you can do is advocate with the few little Negroes that you have, even if it's 5%, 7, 8. Like you can be a loud block and still be a block. I don't know if you can win those people though when they're that big of a majority. I'm not talking about like, you're talking about a really big majority, not just like they're the majority. We've lived in a country where they're the majority. You're talking about a really big majority. I honestly think like on that level, I'm not sure what you can do outside of like be an advocate and be a bee in everybody's bonnet. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like be the rebel rouser, be the noisemaker, be the person who advocates for your people. That's why people ask me sometimes, and I'm gonna let you go, caller, because I gotta get to other calls. But one of the things that people ask me, like, why don't you run? I think in terms of saying what needs to be said in a full-throated way, I think I'm probably more effective as a person saying that in a full-throated way, as opposed to like having to make the concessions that you have to have in politics, especially when the wind's not at your back. Now, if you got a movement behind you, it's a totally different scenario. But we're not there. We don't got no movement. So he's talking about, like, you don't have a movement behind you. You got to be the person that advocates for DOS issues. I don't know if you can win those overwhelmingly large number of white people without telling them what they want to hear. I'm going right now to 314. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. What's going on?
Hello? Okay, so I want to briefly talk to you about the pervasiveness of the raceless black politician, which is related to Kamala Harris and what you're talking about currently. And I want to ask you a question at the very end. I'm going to make this short and concise.
Okay.
So, as you've been stating, we're bottom caste, and our political class and politicians like John Lewis, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, these individuals are running on race as being black, but then vying for minority support, and then convincing ADOS that those minorities will align with us based on color politics and being minorities. So I found an article that said America will only remain majority white if blacks remain in underclass, meaning that there are only two races, white and black. And it was talking about how in the early 1800s, Italians and Germans and all of these other Southern Europeans weren't white, but then they were reclassified as white, and how that may be the case in 2044 with Hispanics. So with Kamala Harris aligning herself with immigrants and always saying we're immigrants, that's a danger to our status as ADOS being a bottom caste, because our issues aren't being represented.
Well,
and we
it's
are
an erosion.
people that can be considered black.
Yeah, but it's also it's like what you're saying. It's an erosion of our citizenship. So we're citizens. We're trying to make that citizenship matter. We've been trying to infuse meaning in our citizenship for generations. And for you to come, Kamala Harris to come and be like, well, citizenship doesn't matter. I stand with these undocumented immigrants. You are eroding our citizenship while at the same time trying to run on our legacy. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should really just be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, and so what? Sort of in my commentary, it sounds like to me whites will remain a majority in this country, and this will still remain a white majority society with a black underclass. So how do we get our people to remain focused on things like reparations, on things like creating an intergenerational struggle? And how do you stay committed knowing that our people lack commitment when it comes to supporting ADOS issues due to it being, okay, it's a black issue, and white society doesn't agree with us standing up for ourselves, and we have raceless black politicians who also lack commitment. And then I'll end my call right there.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Listen, here's the thing. You don't have to be. See, a lot of y'all been slicking around and say, oh, I don't like to listen to Yvette and Tone. They're so negative. They're such Debbie Downers. They're so naysayers. And what I say is that y'all complain about black life all the time. Y'all just don't like. I take a direct approach in terms of my complaint. It's systemic. It's about oppression. It's generational. My approach is just direct. See, you won't complain about that, but you'll come to me and be like, I can't believe I got fired, and all them other white boys, they still there. Well, yeah, that's the same thing I've been saying about. Well, I don't want to talk about that right now. I just want to talk about what happened to me today. I don't want to talk about race and racism. But that's what happened to you today. Anti-African American. That's what happened to you. I just want to talk about. Can you give me a job? And like all of y'all talk about it, but all of the people around us, Breaking Brown family, they always talking about race and bringing people down. They just don't do it from a political framework the same way that we do it. But they all do it. So I think we have to let them know, first of all, and answer your question, that y'all doing it. Y'all just doing it individually, and we're doing it in a group, and we're trying to do it in a way politically that makes it matter. But you and your little garbage situations, I can't believe I can't get no job, and I got 8 degrees. Well, yes, use a Negro. Use an American DOS Negro. That's part of what happens to us. Well, I just want to talk about right now what's going on with me. But what's going on with you? Is it confined to you? So they're all doing it. They're all doing it already. But see, what's going to happen with these tax changes and what people are going to get in terms of their benefits and all the cuts to housing and government, all these people, or a substantial number of these people, are gonna get hit. That's what Breaking Brown family, everybody, we got to get ready for that. Because what Trump did, people can say Trump is crazy, or Trump did what every Republican president has ever wanted to do in terms of that tax plan. And American DOS people are going to get gutted. And so everybody, I don't worry about nobody figuring out whether or not we right. Oh, you're going to see it. You about to live it. You're about to live it. Your life is about to change. Government is about to pull out the welcome mat. So I don't worry about people who are not focused, because I think a lot of people are about to get focused. And that ain't nothing that I'm basing nothing on. I'm saying that because I know what's coming. And I know a lot of people are about to see what I've been describing and what Antonio's been describing. They're going to see that in their lives. People have been skating around and doing little stuff and taking from this government agency and doing this and robbing Peter, paying Paul, and all that stuff. When government pulls back, like it's pulling back with this tax plan, that stuff don't work no more. So then you really going to understand, I'm American DOS. It's going to be a problem. I'm about to have real problems in this Mickey flick. Okay. Then we can have a real conversation. I'm waiting for the rest of American DOS to come forward, and so we can have real conversation, because it's about to happen, because y'all finna have some real life situations. So I'm going to 402. 402, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yeah, good evening, Yvette. My name is Stu. I'm calling from Omaha, Nebraska. How are you this evening?
I'm well. Good evening.
In the interest of time, I'll associate myself with all the positive things that callers always say about the show. My background is I spent 11 years in the Air Force and 9 years in the intelligence community.
Oh, my.
And
spook.
Coming from that perspective is a very different view of America. And as an ADOS, I just want to put 3 questions on the table. You can deal with them however you choose. You can deal with them at a later time or whatever. So as to stay on topic, I will say that on the issue of Kamala Harris, I think that to position her properly, you have to also consider Nikki Haley and Bobby Jindal as people who kind of line up in that same sort of pathway to power. But
pathway to power. That's a good phrase, fam. Pathway to power. That's a good phrase.
I have been reviewing. I'm a relatively new listener to your ideology and the doctrine that you espouse, and I mostly agree with it. But I have 3 quick questions. The first is in terms of these, in terms of the alliances with other groups. I have heard you say that ADOS may benefit from having alliances with other groups. I'm curious if at some point you'd be willing to expound on what that would look like. Because an alliance isn't a generic thing. It's a very specific thing. And the question would be, is there a legitimate pathway to any alliances with these other groups? And if so, what would that look like? How would that benefit us? Secondly, I want to ask if you think that there are any global options that are viable. Toward the end of his life, Malcolm X talked about going to the United Nations. As a person who's done a lot of international traveling, I realize that there are a lot of groups of people in other places who see our plight and who understand it and who would probably be reasonable allies in terms of economics and politics. Do you see any of those as viable? And then thirdly, I understand the tactics of what you're saying. I agree with you about reparations. From a strategic standpoint, given the resources that we actually do have, what do you see as a viable strategy for actually pursuing some of these things beyond just rabble-rousing? And I'll take my answers to any of those off there. Thank you. You're doing great.
All right, fam. I appreciate you. Listen, first of all, you mentioned Jindal and Nikki Haley. I finally remember the name. Those are Republicans. Keep that in mind. Okay. And when we talk about Kamala Harris, keep in mind that her Indian counterparts are usually Republican, and that's what kind of runs through her. But she was in San Francisco. She was in California, so she had to do something different. That's not a Republican state. But you should see her as a conservative Democrat. you see her as a Republican who found a niche as a conservative Democrat. The second thing I would say, when you talk about global options, when you talk about what Malcolm X did, and when you talk about those alliances, and when you talk about that conference, you can go look it up, the conference in which Malcolm X, you know, that was a you can talk about that Pan-African conference. You can talk about, there are other conferences as well. What you have to understand though is that during that era, socialism was on the march. And you had a lot of African countries that were getting their sovereignty. So if you're there, if you could put yourself back in that position, that is a time of promise. You have African countries getting their sovereignty. You have them pushing back against imperialism from colonializers. And I have no problem. Like, if I were there during that period, I would have thought like Malcolm X, like there is a lot of potential in what's happening. And these people are going to run their own countries, and they can help me, and I can help them, and we can all be free. That's what I would have thought if I had been alive during that period. What happened, though, is that everything changed. Capital, imperialist, colonial, whatever you want to call it, went back into these countries and took over these governments, right? So you saw assassinations in African countries. From you know, the best example, but there are multiple examples. Please understand this. But the best example is Lumumba, right? You're trying to do stuff for your people. You trying to extend out. No. The jackals came in and took over. And so the people that we have coming out of that now are people who are basically saying, I don't care. I'm a capitalist. I just want to get me. I'm African. I understand how the game is being played, and I'm situating myself to the game. Those are not Lumumba's people. Those are not his heirs. Those are not the people who are taking on his legacy. So I do understand that there was a moment there with Malcolm X. What I'm telling you is that moment is gone, and those people are gone. Now, when I see those people have power again in those countries, then we will have another conversation about what globalism means and what we can do there. Right now, I just don't see any of that. And when you talk about a viable strategy, you understand I got like 50,000+ people on YouTube who really, like, these are my people. Breaking Brown family really be talking politics, following politics, doing politics. That's it. These are, I don't care who say otherwise. These are the smartest Negroes on YouTube. Right? So these are the smartest, like, but we haven't created enough of them. Or got enough of them over here. Like, you could, if I gotta, it's not like somebody asking me that question. I got 3 million, 14 million, whatever black families. I got 3 million of them on YouTube. What you gonna do with them millions of people? No, I've been here like 4 years now, and I got 50,000. What are you talking about? So like, we don't have to have a majority, but we do have to have critical mass. And what I haven't seen in terms of when we talk about a strategy, I haven't seen critical mass. I haven't seen that. So what people are doing in terms of when we talk about, you know, when we talk about Nigeria and all that stuff, they're trafficking in a political capital from the era of like socialism. Because we use like this dated idea of Pan-Africanism. That's not today though. Timing is everything. We've talked about how timing matters. Timing is important. And we're here now. We're not there then. We're not there with Malcolm when all of these countries have been sovereign and they're having these meetings and all. This is a different time. This is post all the assassinations of the African leaders who would have been and were allies to American DOS. They are gone. The West took them out, and the West left the continent and these countries within the continent with a lot of leaders who are not here for us. I'm not saying whose fault none of that is. I'm just telling you this is what it is, and this is where we are right now. If Lumumba and his heirs and his were there, then we would have a totally different conversation. Because of who he was, and all of these people were getting sovereignty, and people were fighting, Africans and African countries were fighting. We're not there anymore though. We've lost that. These people were taken out. And I think if they had not been taken out, we would be having a very different conversation about our alliances within the diaspora. But I can't deal with what used to be or what could have been or what has been. I can only deal with what is. All right now I am going to 202. 202, what's going on? What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, man?
What's going on, Alexander?
What's going on, Yvette?
What's up with you?
Hey, man. Hey, man, just listen, y'all. You going in on hard on Kamala, aren't you?
I need her to do her own thing.
You going hard on Kamala? I mean, look, we had what's her name? Rachel Dolezal. She wanted to be black. She tried to pretend black. Why can't we let Kamala be black?
Everybody get a shot at pretending.
Just for one election, Yvette? Just for one election?
Oh, that's a heavy cost. That's a heavy. You know what that election could mean to us? Oh, we Kamala, child.
Hey, man, it ain't that I can say that y'all ain't already said, but I will say this. I want you to beware of the concept of blackness as prop. Blackness as prop. Yvette, Bill Clinton played the saxophone, didn't he? We thought
he did.
We called him the first black president.
He did, and we did.
Hey, Hillary Clinton carried hot sauce in her purse, and we thought she was a sister girl, right? Then we called her sister girl.
Yeah, hot sauce in my bag, swag. And she did the Beyonce.
Obama got sworn in on the MLK Bible his second term. Sat in the Oval Office at the desk in front of a bust of Martin Luther King. And Kamala went to Howard, pledged AKA, and now she want to use MLK as her prop. Her prop to launch her campaign. And we can't forget what Tone just brought up is, hell, I guess Willie Brown might be a prop.
Now that boy was a conduit to a future in politics. That boy was a conduit. Everybody did what they had to do, allegedly.
Man, if you an immigrant, man, if you an immigrant with a nice talk, a nice swag, a nice look, you can just get you a whole bunch of black props and ride that wave all the way to the top, man. That's what Obama taught us.
That's true.
You know, so I'm looking at this, and over and beyond the obvious stuff that you guys have already discussed about her hijacking, our lineage. People really need to look at her prosecutorial record as well in California. I mean, the identity issue is real. But even when you get beyond that, her prosecutorial record in California is deeply problematic on so many levels. You had a show some time ago that talked about her opposing DNA evidence for a black man on death row.
I sure did. Yeah.
So she has a deeply problematic. Now, Yvette, I want y'all to watch something real close. I want y'all to pay very close when she gets out there on that campaign trail. Exactly where she chooses for her husband to travel with her. I want y'all to watch that very closely.
You mean he ain't coming to the Baptist church? You don't think he coming to the Baptist church?
I'm telling you, I want you to watch it. Yvette, I think what you did, I was sitting over there shouting when you was breaking that down and showing why we fell in love with President Obama and what that represented, and juxtaposing that next to what she has. And that's very important because I'm going to make a prediction. Her husband will be with her in New Hampshire. He will be with her in Iowa. He will not be with her in South Carolina. He will not be with her in Atlanta. He will not be as public, on the campaign trails in the areas where his presence contradicts her con. if everywhere he doesn't in those communities, that's about to get bankrolled like a mud event. That's gonna get bankrolled on something serious. But I want you to pay very close attention to where her husband shows his face and where he doesn't. Do not allow him to be used as a prop, to be used in Jewish or white communities, or she must be. When she comes to a black community, we need to ask her, "Where's your husband? Why ain't he here? Why was he in Iowa and New Hampshire with you? Why he ain't down here in Atlanta and South Carolina? I need to understand why your husband ain't with you everywhere you go on this campaign trail, Kamala. Come on, let's talk about it." So you gotta watch stuff like that, because that's all a part of the con now. That's all a part of the con. Keep in mind, Barack Obama initially tried to rise through the black community. He initially tried to rise purely through the black community when he ran for Congress against Bobby Rush on the south side of Chicago, the only man to beat Obama in the election. And when he tried to come up through the black community, they told him, you got to go to a black church and you got to have your black wife. And both the church and the wife became props for Obama. And so when he lost that election in 99, he was very bitter about that. And that was when, he kind of switched, and he met I think it's that woman he met on the south side of Chicago that told him, you can be president, but you can't do it through the black community. You can't do it by, your initial impetus. And so he had to do the roundabout, where he actually marginalized black people in the electorate. It was almost by the time, how if white folks like it, we love it. Mm-hmm. So by the time nobody thought Obama could win initially. Nobody thought he could win in the black community. It wasn't until Iowa and those states, to white folks endorsed them, that black people, start trying to change Obama into a black sounding name. And so I just want to point that out. And when you look on the campaign trail and you see her husband with her in certain places and not others, she needs to be asked about that. Like, why? She needs to be asked about that, because what's very horrible about this, she is using your martyr, Dr. King, as her prop. Oh, I want you to think about that. Your martyr, her prop. When Obama got sworn in on MLK's Bible, your martyr, his prop. And so you see that happen. It didn't matter, that this man, all the people he killed through his drone campaign, but he got sworn in on Martin Luther King Bible. None of that really mattered, because he used to walk through the halls of Harvard Law School, saying the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. He was talking that stuff for years, MLK quotes. So you got to pay close attention to who she has with her on the campaign trail. And I'll leave you on this. There's a woman, Yvette, I cannot remember her name. She just got elected as the first, I can't remember, maybe somebody correct me if I'm wrong. She just got elected as one of the first black women congressmen from a district in Chicago, I believe. And, there's been all this to-do made about her being elected as the first black congresswoman. And when they went and interviewed her in her office, she didn't have one black staffer. Oh! She didn't have one black staffer. Now, this woman is actually DOS, I believe. And I thought about that. She wants the accolades of being the first black, from this particular district, but she doesn't want the responsibility to go with it. Wow. And so in that way, she's using, even you can have your own people use you as a prop to get somewhere, and then abandon you once they get there. Those are the traitors that we talk about. I don't believe people can be sellouts who never bought in. So say that again. I don't believe people can be sellouts who never bought in. You better preach today. Yeah, you can't be a sellout if you never bought in. But Kamala, and let me say this, and I'll leave y'all on this. Sisters, because I got very kind of upset when, what was that event a few months ago, a few weeks back, Kamala Harris grilled somebody on the panel, and a lot of black women went crazy over it. You remember that event?
Oh, you talking about the Jeff Sessions stuff? I meant to bring up a clip of that.
Huh?
You talking about what was it, Kavanaugh? Wasn't it Kavanaugh? Was she grilled Kavanaugh?
Yeah. And there was a lot of sisters on Twitter talking about, you tell them, sister girl. Let me tell you something, black woman. Listen up. Kamala Harris is not, I repeat, Kamala Harris is not a black woman. She's not descendant of slaves. Kamala Harris is not a black woman. She just played one on TV.
Let me let me ask you, Alexander. Before you go, one
on TV.
She played one.
Straight.
You right, Alexander. But let me ask you the question that I asked everybody earlier in the show. Kamala Harris has a white husband. If Barack Obama had a white wife, would he have been president?
No way. Sisters like Michelle is getting celebrated now. Man, Yvette, see, I'm gonna full disclosure. I was an original grassroots, supporter of Barack Obama. I got the pictures to prove it. Knew of Obama way back in when he gave his speech in Springfield. I remember when we first hit the campaign trail trying to get him elected. Mm-hmm. If I could show you, I need to go back and find some of these emails. If I could show you the comments that sisters were saying about Michelle back then, I mean, it was not, like, black women did not readily accept Michelle Obama. There was a lot of criticism about her hair.
Yeah, but we always do that. We do that with everybody. Like, we do that.
But what I'm saying is, if they went hard at Michelle like that from the beginning of Barack Obama being introduced to black people on the national stage, imagine what they would have done if he was white. It would have even been a conversation. I mean, so, like, there's no, and you're right. Like, I dare any person to say their love. I've said it before, Yvette. What we are in love with Barack Obama is the beautiful picture of a black family living in the White House, stepping off Air Force One. We love it. We love that picture. And I've always said, it's a beautiful picture, Yvette. It's a beautiful picture. But that's all it was, a picture. Barack Obama's presidency is as pretty as a picture and as empty as a frame. We have to start judging these people by their substance and not their symbolism. And so here come Kamala. Corey gonna come next. Deval Patrick gonna come next.
But Deval said he ain't running. Deval said he ain't running. They say he ain't running.
He ain't running.
They say he ain't running.
Let me tell you something else. Let me give you one last thing. I'm gonna tell you what her campaign gonna be about.
Tampon?
It's gonna be about hope.
Okay.
It's gonna be repackaged in hope and change. Now look, black folks, y'all got hooked on that drug before. We got hooked on that drug before, Yvette, and we still detoxing from it. Do not. Let me tell you something. If you ever in the room with any politician who start talking that hope stuff, you need to boo them off the stage immediately. We are all about the tangible and not the aspirational. They need to come with something concrete. And I'm telling you, it's all right. I've seen some notifications already from coming out of Kamala Harris's camp about this. Hold up. Hope came. What? This is 2020. That was 12 years ago. We still trying to get high on hope.
Get high on hope. Get high. Is it a drug, Alexander? Is it a drug? Is hope a drug?
We're giving you the blueprint. So you don't let her. I don't know if I should say this. Do not, look, man, I ain't gonna say that. You cannot allow us to get pimped any longer. You can't allow us to get pimped any longer. I'm telling you. So when they come, Yvette is giving you Kamala Harris's blueprint. She's giving you what she's telling. She laying it out for you what it's gonna be. So you're gonna recognize it, when you see it. You're gonna recognize it when you see it, and when you got to decide what you're gonna do about it. And so anybody who is in the room with her, y'all need to, you need to take up for the task.
Now here's the second part, Alexander, and I don't want to get you in trouble, so think about it before you answer. You just said something to me that I didn't really, I had seen a little bit of it. Hold on. Hold your mule. Hold your mule.
Don't make me tell the truth, Yvette. Don't make me tell the truth.
You better hold your mule tight. Hold your mule. Okay? You told me something. I hadn't thought about it, but I kind of remember it now. Black women were very hard on Michelle. Her perm wasn't right, and her clothes wasn't right. I remember some of that conversation, right? Can I challenge black women to have that same energy for Kamala's husband?
Oh, now Yvette, now you know you gotta be very careful. Now I'm gonna tell you how you gotta be very careful. It actually could hurt. It actually could work out very interesting for us, because if you force her into that, because once you get on that stage, I guarantee you're gonna start seeing that contortionism I'm talking about. And she got a lot of stuff to contort toward, because she got too many allegiances. You Canadian, you Indian, you Jewish, you whatever. So it's gonna get to the point where we have to force her to that stake she wants to die on. We have to force her to that. And that's why when you say, you bet, no, you didn't tell her she need to, I almost fell out my chair. Announce her candidacy at the board. Come on, Yvette.
She need to. That's her people. Go be with your people. Fly, Clady. Fly.
Hey man, that's hilarious. But that's serious. That's who you say. And I think on this campaign trail, a sticking point for us needs to be distinguishing between immigrants and slaves. They are not the same. Okay. So she has said it. Michelle Alexander has said it. I think Michelle may have said it too, that we are all immigrants. No, the hell we ain't. We are not all immigrants. They need to cut this crap out. We got a greater claim. I've said it before. We got a greater claim to this country. We got a greater claim to this country than anybody. So everybody else, that could actually be true to us. They all immigrants, but we the only people who here and didn't ask to be here.
No. And then built the country with free labor, and then like every generation we got being remade into a slave. So well, you ain't a chattel slave, but we're gonna let the KKK come in and tear down everything. Well, you ain't a chattel slave, we're gonna do mass incarceration. You're not a chattel slave, we're gonna do convict leaks. You're not a chattel slave, we're gonna make you into a contagion that destroys wealth. Every generation we got remade into a different kind of slave, a chameleon slave, you might say. Anybody can say we us, they us.
And there's no evidence in Kamala's life that she ever tried to identify with that.
Nope.
And that right there should be the sticking point. And I'm saying on that campaign trail, somebody had to get in those rooms and get her on television and to force her down on these issues. Because I'm already telling you, she's gonna play that black card.
Yeah.
She's gonna play it. You can already see it shaping for it. You can see the hope come. You can see the hope and change stuff coming out. You can see all that. So it's up to us to lay a stake down and to claim down, and to make her choose. Make her choose, because if she chooses how I think she's gonna choose, she'll lose surely. She'll lose surely, because she won't be able to make it through the southern states.
Well, I'll say this, Alexander. I'm gonna say this too. Everybody need to go check out. If you have not watched her interview on the Breakfast Club, please go check it out, because she is very uncomfortable. It's not about who's in the room. I know the history. I know everybody in there ain't American DOS, whatever. But I'm saying in terms of a platform that's usually for American blacks, like she is. Like if you cut, you know what I want you to do? I want you to cut off. I want you to just listen and not look at the visual. And you can sense the anxiety in her trying to have that conversation, because she didn't even do what Obama do and tried to study American blackness and fake it. She just, if you listen to that, she's like, oh, it's a little Indian woman or a white woman in this room talking to Charlemagne. That's what it's like. Just go watch that Breakfast Club interview with Kamala Harris, and don't look at it. Just listen to it and come back to the comments. Tell me what you think.
Absolutely. I'm going to do that, because somebody else told me about that. But absolutely, I get off the phone, guys. I'm sorry for holding you up, but thank you, babe. You stay on this, because I think this is very important. I think you're preempting a lot of stuff. We need to make this video go viral.
Oh, thank you, Alexander. I appreciate it. As always, Alexander always brings the fire. That is just what he does. That's his job. So somebody's like, we need to have a panel. We're like, we're gonna try to do something well. I'm gonna try to get Alexander something well. So, I'm just saying, black women, we talk about Michelle's our sister. Like, Michelle is Chicago. Can't nobody challenge Michelle's background and who she is, and we still had issues with her. Right? Like, y'all don't got no energy. Like, y'all don't have no, like, listen, I'm not saying anything about anything. I'm just saying be consistent in your values, right? So if you had a problem with Michelle, or you were saying, like, I had somebody tell me, you don't know how many people I had tell me when I finally figured out in 2010, I was like, I voted for this Negro, and I was wrong too when I voted for him. I didn't see it either. I was with Michelle too. Michelle, you go, girl, you in it, with it. I was with it. When I saw it, I started telling black women too, this ain't right. This ain't right. What I see ain't right. And I had black women tell me, listen, Yvette, I'm going to love this man for as long as he's loving his black wife. Now, where is that energy? For Kamala Harris, you're going to love her as long as what? I just want everybody to be, I'm not going to tell you what your values are, but what I will tell you is that I need you to be consistent in your values. I need you to bring that same energy about black love and black family that you brought to Obama and that you allowed Michelle to validate. I need you to bring that to Kamala. Now, if you can't, I need you to do that. If that's where you was in 2008, now if you don't want it, those of you who say I wasn't there in 2008, well, just make it about Kamala's policies. Let's make it about her policies then. And if you look at her policies, you're not going to be too happy. If you look at what she is, her main thing is immigration and minor changes to women's prison reform when it's mostly black men who are incarcerated. Understand, if you really look at her carefully and you don't see her AKA and ski and her trying to do some stuff she don't really understand and cloak herself in American blackness and cloak herself in American DOSness, you don't have much in common with the woman. Right now I'm going to 212. 212, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, how you doing? This is Eric from New York.
What's going on, Eric? What's on your mind?
I have a theory regarding her father and why we can't really find a lot of information about her father. So bear with me a second. If you look at Senator Kamala Harris, you'll see that she's several shades lighter than her mother. And we assume just because her father is Jamaican that he's black. Now,
I saw a picture of him somewhere. He looked black to me.
Right. So her father was an economist in the 1960s, which is unusual for a black American, let alone someone from Jamaica. And I think that her father was part of the same mulatto elite ethnic group from Jamaica that Malcolm Gladwell and Colin Powell were members of. About 8 years ago, Malcolm Gladwell spoke with Charlie Rose about his cousin Colin Powell and an ethnic group in Jamaica that was light-skinned descendants of the slave masters and some of the slaves. Now, what's important about this is the fact that Senator Kamala Harris's ability to co-opt our narrative is based on her supposed Jamaican father's black lineage, but his lineage is mulatto elite. That's even double higher than, let's say, well-off black Americans. Now, I think that the ability to steal our narrative is a multi-generational effort in a sense where it's a plan that she went to Howard University and joined AKA in that Delta because she was the right skin tone. And what you find a lot is Kamala Harris is one of several examples of us and our lack of love for ourselves and our need for affirmation and people playing us. The same thing when Nike saw that Kanye made that stupid mistake and said slavery was a
choice or whatever.
And right away Nike said, this is our chance to eat into Adidas market, and they basically got another racially ambiguous person in a former Kaepernick, and they've been riding themselves to the bank account with black folks' money again. And, you know, her mother is a Tamil Indian. The Tamil Indians are from the South, and they've been fighting for Sri Lankans. And the skin tone is a little darker. They're like brown-skinned Indians. And if you look at her mother, she is lighter than her mother.
Okay.
So she must have got it from her daddy. And, you know, just like the brother said a few minutes ago about using blackness as a prop, that's only possible because we keep giving our history and our historical narrative away because we don't love ourselves.
And we don't love ourselves, and we keep claiming everybody. Like it's like it's based on some kind of melanin. We just claim everybody. Like we just keep claiming people. Like you don't get to just be a
point.
Go ahead, Carl. I'm sorry.
When you brought up that article in that Israeli newspaper, the reason why they do that is to form other elites in that group is who is on the payroll and who is going to support our issues. In discussion. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Appreciate you, fam. That was an interesting call. That was an interesting call. The mulattoes be running around here causing trouble, apparently. Huh. That was very, very interesting. That would be very interesting if he's mixed and he's from, but you know he's from that class. He's an economics professor. What is going on? Was Denmark Vesey on to something? Was he? In terms of how he, you know, built his what was supposed to be his rebellion? I don't know. I'm going to what will probably be my last call. I am going to 415. 415. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, and all the Breaking Brown family. Thanks for having my call. I'm calling from San Francisco. I just really wanted to kind of like highlight what the Alexander said.
Okay.
I've watched about baiting and politics. We've had, I have to say, we could go back to Bill Clinton when we said, hey, he's the first black president because he had this issue with this woman. And all the way up until Obama. But I would like to bring the emphasis that as a child, as someone growing up in San Francisco, we had the same thing about Kamala Harris. She's supposed to be black. And so forth and so on. And I could only speak from coming up in opposition with her district attorney's office that they wasn't black. I think her prosecution record in the city of San Francisco would show who mainly she prosecuted. And that's kind of like really it. I just really wanted to say that, just from being in San Francisco and coming against her being a head district attorney, that she wasn't black. She was. I know.
Did she? Let me ask you a question, fam. You said you had interactions. Did she have a black staff?
No black staff. No black staff.
See, understand. Let me just hold off. Understand something that we're supposed to be doing. If you want to claim Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy, but you're not bringing American DOS people up behind you, because what happens when you're in a position of power? You're in a position of people put American DOS and give them experience in these high offices so they can build resumes. That's part of what you're supposed to be doing. So what the caller is saying is basically you didn't do that, but now you want to claim that. No, you don't get to do that. Let me let you finish up, Carl. I'm sorry.
And I'm only speaking from my experiences in 2003.
But I know she did.
I was 18 then. Now, just going back and look at how she came from district attorney up into Congress, like, well, who is supporting her? because if it's not people like me, if it is, you should be ashamed of yourself. Because apparently that's what all of us is. We not doing our homework. We like you said a few shows ago, we need to be learning politics 101.
102
if certain things that they're not doing is not matching up, we shouldn't be having their support. Period.
No, you're right. You're right, Carla.
And that's all I wanted to add about Kamala, because I personally had been prosecuted by her office at that time. So that's all I wanted to highlight. And
all right,
said,
what happened to you? I will ask what happened to you, but I ain't gonna get into your business. Thank you, Carla. I appreciate you. I'm not gonna get into nobody's business. It's late. Okay. Yeah. I mean, but I don't think this is the last time we're gonna have to come back to this. I don't think this is the last time we're going to have to come back to this. And we have a lot of confusion, right? So what happened to me when I did what I told you I did early on in terms of Obama, what happened to me when I tried to talk about Obama's not African American, everybody based that conversation on skin tone. So everybody went to the remember the African, I forget what country they were from, insulted me as a blue vein. Well, the same thing happened here. Like, amongst my own people, it's like, well, Yvette, he's darker than you. Who are you to say he's not African American? I didn't say he ain't black. I didn't say he ain't. I said he's not lineage. It's not the same thing. White parent, Kenyan parent. I don't have no white parent, no Kenyan parent. 2 Negroes, factory work. That's what but everybody put me in the cast of like mulatto. Like we don't understand. I'm sure that's in there because we're descendants of slaves and slave masters, but not my 2 parents, and I'm not him. But part of what happened is people saw him as more ADOS than me because of melanin. And so one of the things that we have to do, we have to kind of purge that confusion of what it means to be ADOS, what that lineage is, what it looks like, what it is mixed with down the lineage line, everything that it is mixed with, and have the conversation and understand who we are and understand what Reggie always talks about in terms of blood equity. So, when I always talk about how, when I left the country, I went to Liberia. Nobody said, "Oh, you're African or you're black like me." Everybody said you're a Yankee. I was immediately identified as an American, and I think we have to understand that in terms of trying to understand, who we are. But fam, I want to say we have this book, March 21st. We're going to have another book club. The Vesey book club went well. If you haven't seen it, please go. Please check it out. The Denmark Vesey book club show. And I appreciate everybody who tuned in. I appreciate it. And we're going to keep doing it. We just going to keep putting pedal to the metal, fam, until we get there. That's just what we got to do. We don't got no choice. So, fam, please, before you hit the lights out, knock the lights out, please hit that like button. Please hit that bell. Please share. You go to subscribetobrown.com and subscribe to the channel. You can go to donatebrown.com to donate. You can go to patreon.com/ycarnell and donate as well and become a Patreon. But please hit that like button before you leave. I would appreciate it. And fam, we'll be back in a day or so, and we're gonna have another conversation. That's just what it is. Look for those Louisville dates on my Instagram. I'll probably put that on Instagram tomorrow, and I'll try to mention the next show. So if you're in Louisville in February, I think it's like the 6th or the 6th. I think 6 or 7. I'll be there. It might be in the chat. But that's what's up, fam. So I will see you all next time. Get some rest and finish your libation.